guys, it's Emily and welcome back to another speed build. This one I'm very excited to share with you guys. It is my first build since Snowy Escape has been released. So I try to use a lot of those items, and you'll see here I'm just creating kind of the rock formations that I wanted to have for the foundation of this build. I am using a image off of Pinterest that was kind of the inspiration for this. Again, it's not an exact replica, but this was kind of my springboard for that. So I know that a lot of traditional Japanese builds, or at least I've heard through the Sims community, that Japanese architecture has a lot of special requirements and considerations, and I'm just not familiar enough with that to do the respect, or to give it the respect that it deserves. And so I kind of wanted to go in more of a fantasy build type of thing. So this lot I have classified as a national park, so there's just some basic elements to this. There's not, any bed or kitchen or anything. Again, just really simplistic. I didn't want to step on anybody's toes and do the wrong thing, and so we kind of just went again for a more fantasy build. You could absolutely renovate this and have it be a family home. It is on a 64 by 64. I was going to check it out and see if we could get it to accommodate to a 50 by 50, since there are none of those larger lots in the New World. So right now we have this Japanese theme in the middle of Brindleton Bay, but again, I was going for a fantasy build, not really the realistic aspect to it. I just wanted to have fun and use some of the new elements, and I definitely accomplished that. I had a lot of fun with this build. A lot of challenges. Going off of that image, I knew I wanted to have these different levels. I was really, I tried several different things on how to get those stairs look attractive. I wanted to have the building below, like the image shows, but I couldn't really figure out a way to do it in a way that I liked. And so you'll see here I am doing, this is the final version after I tried many different versions of how to get those stairs to work. And I'm pleased with the end result. It is definitely kind of a hike up there for your Sims, but it's not too bad. It's not going to use up all of their energy like some of my builds where I have them climbing up and down ladders beneath all of the structures, if you've seen any of those builds. So yes, these just have some very basic amenities. I have a fountain in that first building where your sim can go and make a wish. We have the object where you can go and write the wishes. That's in the first kind of platform there. Behind that we have a couple of bonsai trees so they can practice sculpting those, and then kind of just a sculpture area. Up above we have just some seating, and then we do have that area over to the right. You'll see that bridge, and that's just a bell, and it's not even functional. So again, you could convert it if you wanted to utilize this lot and have it in your game, but it would take some, you would have to do that on your own. This is really just for me to do for fun, kind of have this fantasy feel to it, and I really enjoyed doing that. Just kind of, again, trying out some of the new items. This is again my first build, so I haven't really used any of the items. So kind of going through that and just trying different things. Again, using that reference picture, so I had to kind of try and find objects that I felt might represent that image a little bit. So we're using those awnings, those exterior awnings, and I was hoping to try and find a way to kind of finish out the corners. But in the end, I was able to use roofing that I really liked the way that it turned out, so we do end up removing that in the end. They could actually swim in this pond. It's actually a swimming pool. It looks like a pond due to the water that I've given it, but it is actually a swimming pool, so that is another activity they could do in this lot. And then we do have, again, that bridge that I build up top. We tried a few different things to try and make that happen, and then there's that butler's bell that I have enlarged to make that complete. And beyond that, we did, you'll see here in a little bit that I did have a train kind of tunnel that I built. I liked the idea of kind of that train track that's in that image. And I came across when I was looking through the debug that sort of rounded build, rounded bridge. And so that's what I end up using. Here again, that tree is so cool and like such a unique structure to it. But I thought, the roots and stuff would be sticking out of the rocks. And so I just pulled that over from vampires to kind of make it look like it's more ingrown to those rocks. So here you see I'm just relocating that, trying to make, just get a little different feel for it. I liked the idea of the symmetry initially, but then when as I was kind of moving along in the progress of it, I thought, nope, I think I'm going to need a little bit more extra room to the left there. So we kind of just shifted everything over, and it really kind of turned out better than I expected due to that. I'm a very much, I like symmetrical things. And so the fact that I do like the way that it turned out being sort of offset like that is a little bit surprising to me, but I do really like this build. I think it's beautiful. Again, just kind of a fantasy build, trying to have fun. I wanted to really have fun with the build. I haven't built in a while. I've been doing the gameplay since the pack came out, and I'm a builder. I don't do the gameplay that often. And so for me to take a break, I think it was like 2 weeks that I didn't do any builds really. And so this is the first time I'm really getting into it, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoy the new objects from a builder's perspective now that I've done the gameplay. Here's that bridge I was talking about. Initially, as you can see, I have it on the second level. I was trying to make that work, kind of in contrast to what the image looks like, but I do believe in the end I end up raising that up just because I think the bridge needs to be on that first level. It just looked a little strange. That image again is showing that dark green, the Pinterest image, and so that's why I had painted everything green. I really like the coloration that the image has, but we didn't have anything or any way to kind of replicate that in game. So that was a challenge, just trying to make things work in a way that I thought was attractive, but still kind of fit the vibe. As I'm looking around, those windows are just becoming, too much of the window. So the strange thing here with these stairs is I can't get a fence to go on that. I don't know if that's a bug, if you guys are running into that, or if that's always been the case. So that section does not have a fence, and I have to believe that there's an error because we should be able to draw fences there. So I liked the idea of using this fencing as a roof feature. Again, that's from that image that I kind of took a cue from, and here we're just using the red posts. There is a new post that came with the Snowy Escape pack, but I'm thinking it doesn't come in red, or there was some reason why I used this one over that one. I don't remember at the moment why I made that choice. But it still comes across as red, and I don't mind it. It's not the exact same red, but it works. Here you'll see is where I'm building that bell tower. Again, that's from the image. Trying a few different things, trying those half walls. It's a little overwhelming with the amount of half walls we have, but I got confused with the sizes before, and now I'm really going to be confused. Here you'll see me creating that rock structure to kind of support that bell, that structure. They would kind of walk over there to ring the bell, and at least that's how I'm envisioning it. And so we need to have that little bell building built on something. So, taking cues from that image heavily, but not an exact replica. So I really enjoyed using these new roof, I guess, what are they, features or, adornment. So I was able to outfit the roof in a kind of a unique way. So that has been great, trying to utilize the different new objects. Here is again that debug bridge that we're going to make the train tunnel out of. I do use those rock caves. Basically, they look like caves. They're meant to be a cave, and we put one on either side of that bridge. And then I do fill it in to get it to look dark, so we are not seeing into that rock. But it was kind of fun to try and make that work. Initially, that train bridge was directly underneath the walkable bridge, but when I put that rock structure to support it, then it just covered up the bridge below. So I had to offset it, which if I had thought it through, that would have been obvious. But we do use the tool mod in this build, just because I always use a tool mod, frankly. And so you do not need that in your game. This will render perfectly if you place it in your game as long as move objects are on. It should not be an issue. So many more people are familiar with tools since it's become widely used by builders. And so I am, I'm not too shy with using it because people have not reported any issues using that tool. The objects that you're manipulating with the mod are actual in-game objects, and so I think that is the key to why it doesn't register as custom content. So here you'll see I'm replacing all those windows, those long or the tall black windows that kind of wrap around the entire building just seemed like too much. I initially liked the look of it, but then once we got some of the other elements in place, I felt like those windows needed to be switched out and be more of a kind of a element rather than a feature of the building. And I did right here, I am using the mouse hole just enlarged to create the shadow in the tunnel. So they're probably covered up by the rocks, but there probably are little mice running around, or rats. I'm not sure which they are, but so that's what I used to fill that in and create that kind of dark shade. I was pretty amused when I came up with that. I was wondering how I was going to create that effect and not have, not have it be seen into and see the kind of different rock structures. And that was actually the perfect object for that. So here again, you'll see I'm just building up some of the mountains around that debug building. I think the combination of those two buildings along with the buildings that I created make it look, very populated and it's just really attractive to me. I think this build is just very attractive once we get, all the trees and the greenery, and then, the waterfall behind. I think it's just a really peaceful feeling build. I would love to go here with my Sims. I would love to go here myself and try these things out. So here you'll see I'm just getting some more of that greenery, some of the bonsai type shaped trees in place. I tried putting them in various different locations, and I just kind of turn the camera around to see if I like it. Try things out a lot. This is not really planned out. I don't have this meticulously planned out. It's just kind of a matter of trying things out, see if I like it. And when we have this kind of varied terrain like that, we have to use the tool mod to lower the bushes so they're not floating, kind of in the sky. And so that is another awesome thing that mod can do for you, is you're able to kind of set things down where they normally wouldn't be able to, so they're not floating, and, at least in the case of brush and things like that. So that feels more incorporated into the natural landscape that way. Here you'll see I have that elephant fountain out front that actually goes inside that very first building, so your sim can go and make a wish there. I thought that was really sweet. It has a cute little elephant on it. I don't remember what game pack that is, maybe City Living, but I thought it was cute for the space that we are in. And here is kind of the main building. It has 2 levels. The steps used a lot of the kind of floor space, and so it really is just an area for shelter. We do have a couple of couches up above, so your Sims can relax there. We have this sort of the raised area there. I haven't experimented too much with the platforms, but I did put a little one there to put kind of a focal piece. There you'll see there that I put that there, and it's just kind of a, it's not, I don't want to say it's really a house of worship, again, because I'm sure the architecture for houses of worship have very, distinct specifications, but, it's kind of a place where your Sims can come and hang out. As a national park in my mind, and so that's kind of why I kept it really simplistic as well. Here you'll see I'm just utilizing those pillars in various ways to kind of make pops of architecture, so like up against the windows and such. Just kind of reinforce that color, even though it's a little bit different. I wanted to kind of reinforce it and have it placed in different areas. Here we are using an object that hangs on the wall from Island Living. This is we end up using the tool mod to kind of turn it around and look like an architectural feature of the roof. And, I thought that was a really cool look. Again, that came from the image, the Pinterest image that I used. So I was happy that I thought of that object. I had just used it for a dragon that I had created, and so it must have been in the back of my mind, because when I was thinking about that shape, I was like, oh, that object would be perfect, and it came in red, so it was really perfect. Here we are just using that roof technique where you slide up the room and then you can slide your roof over to whatever height you want, and we just kind of created that alternative roof shape, which I was really pleased with. And then we're just using the tool mod to modify those pillars so they're not sticking up or sticking out too far. So that is another thing, you can get the exact location of those objects that you want. I cannot say enough good things about that mod. And your Sims can actually climb up to that top level. They can't actually ring the bell, but they can access it. I've put a ladder in, and you can put whatever you want over there. So here we are just doing a little bit more landscaping. Again, that writing on that wall from the image, just taking a lot of cues from that. I wanted to have some kind of evergreen trees as well. I don't know this, I think I was building in summer, and so I don't know if those leaves on the other trees will, if they'll lose those leaves, but I definitely wanted to have some variation of tree types as well. So we have those couple types, maybe 3 types of trees in there that I've just kind of modeled across everywhere. Here is the waterfall that I do end up using. I think this is from Discover University, if I'm recalling correctly. You are able to rotate that with the tool mod, so that is the other thing that is awesome about this one. The Island Living one, you can't. It stays in the direction, but this one you can rotate many different ways, as you see here, me mistakenly doing that. And so I was able to create this like really steep waterfall. I'm just really pleased with the way that came out. Again, it has those straight edges, and that's not very natural looking, and so I do have to kind of build up that rock area more to kind of hide those edges, as you'll see I'm doing here. I felt like this was a really good use of that. It feels really natural to me, and even though it's sort of this really kind of hard-edged fountain when we first saw it in Discover University, it is able to be used in a way that makes it feel a little bit more natural. So that was a very good result that I felt I had with that. Here I just had misplaced the railroad, maybe by moving some of those rocks, and so I had to redo that. But just doing the finishing touches on this, I had a lot of fun doing this. I like working from images quite a bit, and so even though it's not an exact replica, it's kind of a jumping off point. And so that is what I like to do for creative reasons, and kind of make my own interpretation of the image, and trying to utilize the tools that we do have in the game, and maybe some mods too, using some build mods. And so we do have a little kind of bathroom area, some outdoor seating. I wanted to include a rubbish bin, so we have that. Here you'll see where I'm putting in the seating and kind of the hiking sign. I did try to have my Sims use it, or rather, they tried to use it autonomously, and because we're not in the correct world, the action just cancels. But I thought it looked fitting because this is a national park lot. Here you'll just see I'm adding the little outhouse outside of the kind of the main structure, and then behind that I do put a grill and a couple of picnic tables because that is a requirement for a national park. So we fulfilled those requirements to kind of make the build complete. I replaced the couches. And with that, guys, I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying this pack as much as I did. I've had a lot of fun with it. I hope you are well, and take care. I will see you next time.